You begin by noticing the simplest thing you have with you: your breath. It moves in without effort. It moves out without instruction. You do not hurry it. You do not fix it. You simply notice that it is there, warm and steady, like a quiet companion that has followed you all day and asks nothing in return. As you rest into this gentle rhythm, something subtle begins to happen. Your attention widens. The room around you softens. Sounds become distant, like they are being wrapped in a layer of calm air. You feel supported. The ground beneath you feels solid, patient, and quietly present. It does not rush. It has never rushed. And as you settle here, breathing in and out, a thought drifts toward you without urgency. The planet beneath you breathes too. Not quickly. Not loudly. The earth breathes in stretches of time so long they feel like stillness. Its breath moves through stone and heat, through layers you will never touch, yet somehow still belong to you. This breathing does not happen in moments. It happens in ages. And tonight, you are simply listening. Imagine the earth as a resting body. Vast. Ancient. At ease. Its surface is like skin, cooled and calm, while far below, warmth gathers slowly, the way warmth gathers beneath a thick blanket on a winter night. There is no strain in this image. Only rest. Only rhythm. You inhale. The earth inhales. You exhale. The earth exhales. Somewhere deep below, supervolcanoes exist as part of this breath. Not awake. Not erupting. Just present. They are not mountains waiting to explode. They are not dangers waiting to surprise you. They are slow chambers of warmth, resting like lungs between breaths. If volcanoes had personalities, supervolcanoes would be the ones taking very long naps. Extremely long naps. The kind where you forget they are even in the room. And that is oddly comforting. These deep systems form not through chaos, but through patience. Heat rises slowly. Rock softens gradually. Pressure builds gently, the way your chest fills when you take a deep breath without realizing you are doing it. There is no countdown. There is no alarm clock. Just accumulation, happening quietly over time. As you breathe in now, notice the slight lift in your chest. As you breathe out, notice how everything settles again. This is the pace of the planet. Supervolcanoes are part of Earth's breathing cycle, not interruptions to it. They are expressions of internal balance, ways the planet redistributes its warmth. Nothing about them is sudden when seen from the planet's perspective. What feels dramatic to human timelines is, for Earth, a slow stretch and release. You might imagine scientists as listeners here, not watchers. People who place careful instruments on the planet the way a doctor listens to a chest, not because something is wrong, but because something is alive. The Earth hums softly with information. Tiny movements. Gentle shifts. A distant warmth. All of it steady. All of it calm. And no one is rushing toward conclusions. You feel warmth in your hands now, or maybe in your feet. That warmth mirrors the warmth below the crust, far beneath oceans and continents. The Earth does not hide this warmth. It simply keeps it deep, where it can move slowly, safely, thoughtfully. If the planet could speak, it would not shout. It would whisper. And it would probably remind you to relax your shoulders while you listen. You inhale again, a little deeper this time. You exhale longer than before. Supervolcanoes are reminders that not everything powerful needs to be loud. Some of the most influential processes on this planet happen quietly, out of sight, while life continues peacefully above. Forests grow. Rivers flow. People sleep. And beneath it all, the earth breathes. This knowledge does not demand alertness. It invites rest. Tonight, you are not here to measure anything. You are not here to calculate. You are here to feel the rhythm. To understand that the planet you rest on is not tense. It is not on edge. It is not holding its breath. It is breathing slowly, confidently, repeatedly. And that means you can too. As your breath settles into an easy pattern, curiosity begins to stir, not sharply, but softly. A wondering without urgency. If the earth breathes through these deep systems, where exactly does that warmth rest? How far down does this calm heat move? What lies beneath the crust you walk on every day? You do not need the answers yet. For now, you rest in the knowing that beneath your stillness is another stillness, deeper and older. A warmth that has been there long before you noticed your breath tonight, and that will remain long after you drift into sleep. Your inhale slows. Your exhale lengthens. The earth continues its quiet rhythm below you, steady and unbothered, as your awareness begins to drift downward, past surface thoughts, past surface stone, toward layers that glow softly in the dark, waiting patiently, breathing in their own unhurried way, ready to be felt next. You continue from where you last rested, carried by the earth's steady breathing. Nothing pulls you downward. You simply drift, as if gravity itself has softened its grip. The surface fades gently above you, not disappearing, just becoming less important. Soil gives way to stone. Stone gives way to deeper stone. And still, there is no rush. Your breath stays slow. With each quiet inhale, you feel as though you are moving deeper, not through distance, but through layers of calm attention. The crust, that thin outer skin of the planet, rests above you now like a gently folded blanket. It holds the shape of continents and oceans, mountains and plains, yet it is only the beginning. Below it, warmth waits. Not a sharp heat. Not a burning heat. A patient warmth, like the lingering warmth in a room long after a fireplace has gone quiet. This is the mantle, stretching wide and deep, moving so slowly it feels almost still. Almost. You sense it more than you see it, like feeling sunlight through closed eyelids. The mantle does not flow like water. It flows like time. Gradual. Thoughtful. Unconcerned with urgency. Rock here behaves in ways that feel surprising only if you expect it to hurry. Under enough warmth, even stone learns how to rest into motion. You exhale. The earth exhales with you. This warmth is not wasted. It is not trapped. It circulates gently, rising and settling in vast, looping patterns that take ages to complete. These movements feed the planet's deep breathing, carrying energy upward, then letting it cool, then warming again. Nothing is lost. Nothing is frantic. Somewhere within this warmth, magma begins to gather. Not all at once. Not everywhere. In certain places, heat lingers just a little longer. Rock softens just a little more. And over very long periods, magma chambers form. These are not balloons ready to burst. They are more like resting spaces, where warmth pauses, collects itself, and waits. If you imagine them now, Imagine them as quiet rooms deep underground. Dimly lit. Calm. Doors always open. Heat enters slowly and stays a while. There is no ticking clock on the wall. No sense of deadline. Just accumulation, the way thoughts accumulate when you lie awake, unforced and wandering. Your breath remains steady, and you may notice how similar this feels to your own body. You take in warmth. You hold it. You release it. The earth does the same, only on a scale that turns moments into ages. Supervolcano magma chambers are simply larger versions of this process. They form where conditions remain just right for just long enough. Heat keeps arriving. Rock keeps yielding. Space opens gradually. Nothing dramatic needs to happen for something immense to take shape. If magma had emotions, it would be extremely relaxed. Possibly too relaxed. The kind of relaxed that forgets what day it is. That kind of energy. You inhale again, and imagine warmth spreading gently through your chest. You exhale, and imagine it settling lower, deeper. These chambers do not push upward with force. They rise because warmth is naturally buoyant, the way warm air lifts slowly in a quiet room. It is not ambition. It is not pressure. It is simply nature responding to comfort. Scientists understand this through careful listening, through studying how heat moves, how materials respond over time. They do not rush the explanation, because the planet itself is not rushing the process. Understanding comes slowly, layered gently, like everything else down here. And all the while, the crust above remains calm. Life continues. Trees grow. Rivers wander. Nights pass into mornings. The planet's deep warmth does not disturb the surface. It supports it. You feel supported too. There is something reassuring about knowing that such immense systems are also such patient ones. That power does not need speed. That energy does not need noise. The Earth's strength comes from its willingness to take its time. Your breathing grows even softer now. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Some magma chambers will stay small, warming and cooling in quiet cycles. Others, given enough time and space, will grow larger, broader, deeper. Not because they are planning anything, but because conditions allow them to. Preparation here is not intention. It is simply continuation. And still, nothing is imminent. Nothing is leaning toward action. These chambers rest within the planet's breathing, part of a system that knows exactly how slowly it prefers to move. As you linger in this warmth, curiosity stirs again, like a gentle tap on the shoulder. If these chambers rest so quietly, if they grow without announcing themselves, how could anyone ever know they are there at all? How does listening work when the sounds are this soft? You do not chase the question. You let it float. Your awareness begins to rise just slightly, not back to the surface, but toward the idea of listening, of sensing the nearly invisible. The earth continues breathing beneath you, its warmth circulating, its chambers resting, as attention turns toward the faint signals that even such deep stillness cannot help but leave behind, waiting patiently to be noticed next. You settle into the idea of waiting, and you notice how different it feels here. There is no impatience in this place. No tapping clocks. No need to arrive anywhere else. Waiting, down here, is not empty time. It is full time. Time doing exactly what it is meant to do. Your breath remains slow. You inhale without effort. You exhale without expectation. This is how supervolcanoes sleep. They do not sleep because they are tired. They sleep because nothing needs to happen yet. Deep beneath the surface, warmth continues to arrive gently, like a slow tide that never rushes the shore. Rock softens, then rests. Pressure gathers, then pauses. Everything unfolds in the planet's preferred rhythm, which is unhurried to the point of stillness. You might think of sleep as absence, but here it is presence without motion. Supervolcanoes are not inactive. They are simply patient. They exist in a state of long listening, where change happens so gradually it feels invisible. Imagine a chest rising during a deep, peaceful breath. The movement is subtle, almost unnoticeable unless you are paying close attention. The Earth's crust behaves in much the same way. It flexes gently over time, responding to warmth below, lifting slightly, then settling again. There is no strain in this movement. Only accommodation. You breathe in. The planet accommodates. You breathe out. The planet settles. This is what allows supervolcanoes to sleep for spans of time that stretch beyond ordinary memory. Heat does not arrive all at once. Space does not open suddenly. Instead, everything happens by accumulation. A little warmth held here. A little softness there. A little patience everywhere. If the Earth were in a hurry, none of this would work. But the Earth is very comfortable waiting. Magma gathers slowly, the way warmth gathers in your hands when you cup them together. At first, there is barely a difference. Then, gradually, the warmth becomes noticeable. Still gentle. Still manageable. Still calm. The surrounding rock responds by making room, not by breaking, but by easing. You may notice how reassuring this feels. Nothing is forcing anything else. There is no struggle between layers. Just cooperation over time. This is why supervolcanoes can sleep for so long. Not because they are building towards something dramatic, but because they are participating in balance. Heat rises. Rock yields slightly. Pressure distributes itself evenly. And then everything waits again. Sleep, in this sense, is not a pause before action. It is the action itself. Your breath slows further now, naturally, without instruction. Each inhale feels deeper. Each exhale feels longer. The idea of long sleep begins to feel familiar, even inviting. Sometimes, when you sleep deeply, your body shifts without waking you. A small adjustment. A gentle turn. You do not notice it until morning. The Earth does this too. Small movements happen while everything appears still. The surface remains calm, while deep below, subtle changes continue. And yet, none of this is hidden in a way that suggests secrecy. It is simply quiet. Like a person breathing softly in a dark room. You might wonder how anyone could ever know what is happening during such long sleep. How can something so slow, so subtle, be noticed at all? The answer is not through interruption. It is through listening. Scientists do not wake sleeping volcanoes. They listen for breathing. They listen for tiny movements, for faint warmth shifts, for changes that feel more like whispers than signals. These clues are not alarms. They are signs of life continuing at its own pace. You inhale again, and notice how your body knows exactly how much air it needs. You exhale, and trust that the next breath will come on its own. Supervolcanoes trust this process too. There is no rush toward awakening. Sleep lasts as long as balance requires. And balance, here, is measured in patience. It can feel comforting to realize that some of the largest forces on the planet are also the most restrained. That size does not demand speed. That power does not require urgency. The Earth knows how to hold energy gently, the way you hold warmth under a blanket, letting it build slowly without effort. You may feel a soft heaviness now, the pleasant kind that comes with deep relaxation. Your body mirrors the planet's behavior, settling into stillness without resistance. The longer you stay with this idea, the more natural it feels. Of course, something this vast would move slowly. Of course, something this old would not hurry. Sleep is simply how the Earth honors its own rhythm. As you rest with this thought, curiosity stirs again, not sharply, but tenderly. If the planet sleeps so deeply, if its movements are this subtle, what signs does it leave behind? How do these slow breaths translate into signals that can be felt at the surface? You do not need the answer yet. For now, you remain inside the waiting. Inside the long sleep. Inside the steady breathing that never fully stops, even in stillness. Your breath and the planet's breath continue together, quiet and unbroken, as attention begins to drift toward the faintest movements, the almost invisible hints, the soft signals that even the deepest sleepers cannot help but release, guiding awareness gently toward what comes next. You remain in a place of calm attention, where nothing demands to be noticed loudly. Here, awareness sharpens not by effort, but by softness. You begin to understand that some things reveal themselves only when you stop looking for them too hard. Your breath continues its slow rhythm. Inhale. Exhale. The Earth speaks this way too. It does not announce itself with sudden gestures. It does not raise its voice. Instead, it whispers through the smallest movements, the faintest warmth, the quietest shifts that happen whether anyone is watching or not. These are the subtle signals most people miss, not because they are hidden, but because they are gentle. Deep beneath you, the planet continues breathing. With each slow inhale, warmth rises slightly. With each exhale, it settles again. These motions are so gradual that they feel like stillness unless you know how to listen. Imagine placing your hand lightly on a sleeping chest. You do not feel dramatic movement. You feel presence. A quiet lift. A gentle fall. Enough to know that life is there, continuing peacefully. This is how the Earth communicates. The crust responds to deep warmth with almost imperceptible flexibility. It lifts a little. It relaxes a little. The movement is not meant to be seen. It is meant to be absorbed over time. The planet trusts that its breathing does not need to be obvious to be real. You may notice how comforting this idea feels. That something immense can move without disruption. That power can express itself through subtlety. You inhale slowly. You exhale even more slowly. Scientists learn to listen for these faint expressions. Not with urgency. Not with fear. They place instruments gently, the way you might place a hand on warm stone to feel the heat lingering inside. These tools do not demand answers. They wait. Listening, in this context, is an act of patience. Tiny vibrations travel through rock. Gentle warmth shifts position. Gases drift quietly upward through microscopic spaces. None of these signals are messages of danger. They are signs of ongoing life. Proof that the planet is awake in its own slow way, even while appearing asleep. You might imagine these scientists as caretakers rather than controllers. They do not interrupt the planet's rhythm. They simply learn its language. They notice patterns the way you notice your own breathing when you lie awake at night, aware but not concerned. And sometimes, listening reveals nothing new at all. That is not failure. That is reassurance. Silence, here, is not absence. It is stability. The Earth does not hide its processes out of secrecy. It simply operates on a timescale that rewards gentleness. The signals are there, layered softly on top of one another, repeating slowly enough that they blend into calm. You feel your shoulders soften as you settle into this idea. Nothing is sneaking up on anyone. Nothing is waiting to surprise. The planet's breathing is continuous, predictable in its patience. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Occasionally, a signal changes slightly. A warmth lingers longer. A movement shifts direction. These changes are not alarms. They are variations in rhythm, like when your breath deepens naturally as you drift closer to sleep. The Earth adjusts constantly, the way your body does, maintaining balance without needing conscious thought. Its deep systems redistribute energy smoothly, avoiding sharp transitions. This is not a planet that startles easily. There is something quietly humorous about imagining such a massive body being so polite. The Earth sends the geological equivalent of subtle hints rather than loud announcements. If it could speak, it might apologize for being barely noticeable. You smile inwardly, just slightly. Your breathing remains steady, your awareness wide and relaxed. You are learning the value of noticing without reacting, of sensing without interpreting everything as a problem. This is the heart of listening. Supervolcano systems, resting deep below, are part of this gentle conversation. Their presence influences the signals, but never overwhelms them. They breathe along with the planet, contributing warmth, adjusting pressure, then resting again. Nothing about this process feels tense. Everything feels held. As you stay with this listening, you may realize how different it feels from watching. Watching seeks change. Listening accepts continuity. The Earth prefers listeners. Your inhale feels deeper now, fuller without effort. Your exhale releases slowly, evenly. The subtle signals continue whether or not they are noticed. They are not meant to provoke urgency. They are meant to affirm balance. The planet is not counting down. It is not building toward drama. It is simply breathing. And that breath carries information in the softest possible way. As this chapter of listening settles, awareness begins to widen again, drifting toward a larger view. These signals, gentle as they are, belong to cycles much longer than a single breath. They hint at patterns repeating over immense stretches of time. You do not chase those patterns yet. You rest in the listening. The Earth breathes below you, unbothered by attention, unafraid of observation. Its signals remain subtle, steady, and calm, guiding awareness toward the slow repetition of cycles forming beyond any single moment, already unfolding, already waiting, inviting you gently into the rhythm that continues next. You float gently now, no longer anchored to minutes or hours. Time loosens its grip and becomes something softer, more spacious. Here, time does not point forward. It moves in wide, slow circles, returning again and again without urgency. You feel this rhythm before you understand it, the way you feel your breath before you think about breathing. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. The Earth lives this way. Supervolcanoes are not governed by schedules. They do not check clocks or wait for dates to arrive. They follow cycles instead, calm repetition shaped by warmth rising, settling, and rising again. These cycles do not rush toward conclusions. They move the way tides move, the way sleep comes and goes, the way your breath finds its own pace when no one is watching. You rest inside this idea, and it feels strangely familiar. Deep below the surface, the planet inhales heat from its interior. This warmth does not surge upward. It drifts. It lingers. It explores the surrounding rock with patience, like fingers testing water temperature before fully entering. Over long stretches of time, this warmth gathers, not because it must, but because it can. The Earth exhales just as slowly. Heat spreads outward. Rock cools gradually. Pressure redistributes itself, finding equilibrium without effort. Nothing snaps. Nothing breaks. Everything adjusts. You may notice how soothing this feels. There is comfort in knowing that even the planet prefers repetition over surprise. That it finds balance through doing the same gentle things again and again. You inhale, and warmth fills your chest. You exhale, and everything settles lower. These cycles are not perfect circles. They wander slightly, like thoughts drifting as you fall asleep. Sometimes warmth lingers longer. Sometimes cooling takes its time. But the overall rhythm remains steady, guided by gravity, buoyancy, and the planet's quiet preference for balance. Supervolcanoes exist within these cycles, not as endpoints, but as pauses along the way. They are places where warmth gathers during an inhale and remains during a pause. They are not waiting impatiently for release. They are participating in a long conversation between heat and stone. If you imagine this conversation, it is very polite. Heat asks for space. Rock agrees slowly. Pressure rearranges itself so no one feels uncomfortable. Everyone takes their time. There is something gently humorous about this, if you allow yourself to notice it. The largest systems on Earth behave like people politely waiting their turn. No pushing. No shouting. Just quiet cooperation over ages. You feel your body sink deeper into rest now. Muscles loosen without instruction. Your breathing grows slower, more even, as if it has learned something from the planet. Inhale. Longer pause. Exhale. Cycles like these cannot be rushed, and they cannot be skipped. The Earth does not try to get to the exciting part faster. It does not consider some moments more important than others. Every phase matters equally. Gathering. Holding. Releasing. Resting again. This is why supervolcanoes can exist peacefully for so long. They are not anomalies. They are expressions of repetition. They are what happens when conditions repeat gently, over and over, until something large forms quietly. You may think of cycles in your own life. Waking and sleeping. Tension and release. Attention and drifting. None of these states are permanent, and none of them are problems. They simply follow one another, each necessary, each temporary. The Earth understands this deeply. As warmth accumulates below, the crust above responds without drama. It lifts slightly, then relaxes. It adjusts the way a chest adjusts during deep breathing. Nothing is strained. Nothing is forced. The planet knows exactly how much flexibility it needs. You may notice how safe this feels. How unthreatening. The idea of immense forces moving slowly removes any sense of urgency. Power, here, is not something to fear. It is something to trust. Your exhale lengthens again, almost on its own. Cycles measured in calm patience mean that nothing happens all at once. Even release, when it eventually comes, is part of a sequence, not a surprise. The earth prepares by resting. It prepares by waiting. It prepares by breathing. If magma could speak, it would likely say, "No rush." And then it would continue resting. There is comfort in repetition, in knowing what comes next because it has come before. The earth has inhaled warmth countless times. It has exhaled countless times. It has found balance again and again, without needing to hurry. You feel your heartbeat slow, steady, matching this rhythm. Each beat arrives, does its job, and leaves without fuss. Inhale. Exhale. As you float within this cycle, a gentle anticipation begins to form. Not excitement. Not worry. Just awareness. You sense that every inhale eventually meets an exhale. Every gathering eventually meets a release. Not because something goes wrong, but because balance continues. The earth does not cling to warmth forever. It does not hold its breath indefinitely. When the time is right, when conditions align gently, release becomes part of the rhythm too. This thought does not disturb you. It feels natural. Reassuring. Like knowing that after a deep breath, a sigh will come and relief will follow. Your body understands this instinctively. As you rest here, suspended in repetition, curiosity opens softly. What does it feel like when the planet finally exhales after such a long inhale? What does release look like when it arrives without urgency? You do not need to answer yet. For now, you remain within the cycle itself, breathing with the planet, trusting its patience, letting repetition carry you. The inhale deepens. The exhale softens. And somewhere far below, warmth waits calmly, knowing that release, when it comes, will arrive just as gently, opening into the next breath, the next phase, the next quiet movement, already forming on the horizon of awareness. You remain inside the slow rhythm, breathing easily, trusting the patience that has carried you this far. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing snaps awake. Instead, something loosens. Something that has been held gently for a very long time begins to let go. This is the planet exhaling. Not sharply. Not urgently. It is more like a deep sigh after a long rest, the kind that leaves the body feeling lighter rather than depleted. You stay comfortably distant, observing across time, wrapped in safety and calm. There is no danger here, only understanding. You inhale softly. You exhale, slow and long. For ages, warmth has gathered below the surface, resting in quiet chambers, participating in cycles of balance. Now, as conditions align naturally, release becomes part of that balance. Not because something has gone wrong, but because nothing stays held forever. The earth does not erupt the way stories describe it. There is no violence in its perspective. There is release. Pressure redistributes. Warmth finds new paths upward. Energy moves because it is allowed to, not because it is forced. Imagine holding your breath gently, without strain, and then letting it out slowly through relaxed lips. That is what this moment feels like for the planet. A return to ease. Ash, in this telling, is not chaos. It is dust drifting through air, settling softly over wide spaces. Lava is not fury. It is slow light, glowing warmly as it moves with gravity's guidance. Everything remains unhurried, even in motion. You feel calm because the earth feels calm. This exhale does not arrive without preparation. It arrives after patience, after long listening, after countless quiet adjustments that made space for release to happen smoothly. Nothing here surprises the planet. Nothing feels rushed. You notice how your body responds to this idea. Shoulders soften. Jaw loosens. Breath deepens naturally. Inhale. Exhale. The earth releases energy the way a body releases tension after sleep. There is relief in the movement. A sense of completion. Systems reorganize themselves gently, redistributing warmth, settling into new arrangements that feel comfortable rather than strained. From far away in time, you observe without concern. You are not close. You are not involved. You are simply aware, resting inside understanding. This is not a disaster. It is a phase. Supervolcanoes, when they release, do so because the inhale has finished its work. The long gathering reaches balance. The planet responds by letting go, trusting that the cycle knows what it is doing. There is something quietly reassuring in knowing that even release follows rules of calm. That nothing bursts without preparation. That even the largest exhale is guided by patience. If the earth had a thought here, it might be something like, "Ah, that's better." You smile slightly at the idea. The release changes the landscape slowly. Wide spaces open. Rock settles into new forms. Heat escapes upward and outward, spreading rather than striking. The planet does not lurch. It adjusts. Afterward, the breath does not stop. The earth continues breathing, but now the inhale begins again, softer, slower, deeper. Warmth still exists below, but it no longer presses. It circulates. It rests. It waits. You feel the same thing in your body. After a long exhale, the next inhale arrives naturally, without effort. Balance returns without instruction. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. The idea of eruption loses its intensity here. It becomes simply a turning point within a long rhythm. One note in a slow melody. Necessary, but not dramatic. Meaningful, but not alarming. Nothing is broken by this release. The planet is not harmed by its own breath. It is relieved by it. You feel safe because you understand the scale. Time stretches wide enough to hold everything gently. Distance softens every edge. Perspective turns motion into calm. As the exhale completes, stillness returns. Not emptiness. Not absence. Just rest. The kind of rest that follows effort naturally, without collapse. Rock cools. Ash settles. Silence spreads again, warm and familiar. You notice how quiet follows movement, the way quiet follows a sigh. The earth does not rush to fill the silence. It enjoys it. Your breathing mirrors this pause now. slower, deeper, easy. There is a sense of completion here, but not finality. The cycle does not end. It simply continues into another phase, one marked by settling, cooling, and calm reorganization. You rest inside this knowledge, free from urgency, free from fear. Release has happened, and nothing terrible followed. Only quiet adjustment. Only balance finding itself again. As attention lingers, awareness begins to shift toward what comes after release. Toward the landscapes left behind. Toward the hollows and wide spaces formed gently by letting go. The earth breathes again, slower now, deeper into stillness. And your awareness drifts with it, moving naturally toward the quiet that follows a long exhale, toward the gentle stillness settling in, already forming, already waiting, ready to be felt next. You arrive in the stillness that follows a long, careful breath. It feels familiar, like the quiet after a sigh when nothing needs to be said. The movement has passed. The release is complete. Now there is rest, wide and unbroken. Your breath mirrors this calm. Inhale. Soft pause. Exhale. The earth settles into itself. Where warmth once gathered and slowly departed, space remains. Not empty space, but open space. The kind that feels intentional, like a room cleared gently so light can move more freely. The planet does not rush to fill it. It allows stillness to arrive first. Landscapes form quietly here. Rock cools and finds its place. Ash drifts down and rests without complaint. Nothing collapses. Nothing struggles. Everything simply lowers its shoulders and relaxes. This is where calderas are born. They are not scars in the way you might imagine. They are softened hollows, wide and patient, shaped by release rather than violence. Places where the earth let go and then rested. From above, they look calm, almost thoughtful, like the planet paused mid-breath and decided to remain comfortable. You feel comfort too. Your body recognizes this phase instinctively. Muscles release the last traces of holding. Breath deepens without effort. Stillness spreads through you the way warmth spreads through stone long after the source has moved on. The earth's breathing slows here. Each inhale takes longer to arrive. Each exhale lingers. The rhythm deepens, becoming less noticeable, more internal. This is not sleep exactly. It is recovery. After release, balance reorganizes itself gently. Heat that once pressed upward now circulates quietly below. Pressure that once needed space now rests evenly. The planet feels settled, content to remain just as it is for a while. If the earth could stretch, this would be the moment it does so lazily, without urgency, perhaps even enjoying the quiet it created. You smile slightly at the image. Silence dominates this phase, but it is not empty. It is full of subtle adjustments. Cooling rock contracts just enough to feel comfortable. Minerals settle into stable arrangements. Everything clicks softly into place, like pieces finding the right position without being forced. You breathe slowly, feeling supported by the ground beneath you. The idea that even after immense change, calm returns so naturally feels deeply reassuring. Nothing remains unsettled for long. Inhale. Exhale. Time stretches again. Without urgency, without markers. Days, years, ages drift past like clouds dissolving in a pale sky. The caldera remains, wide and quiet, collecting stillness. Sometimes water gathers here. Rain finds the hollow and stays. Lakes form without drama, resting peacefully in the space left behind. The earth does not rush to erase the mark of release. It incorporates it. This stillness becomes part of the planet's breathing. You sense how different this feels from endings. This is not closure. It is continuation in a new form. The earth has not finished anything. It has simply shifted into rest. There is gentle humor in how patiently this all unfolds. If humans moved this slowly, calendars would give up entirely. The planet, however, is perfectly content without deadlines. You notice how your thoughts have slowed as well. They drift rather than jump. Each one arrives, pauses, then moves on without insistence. Stillness teaches everything around it how to soften. The earth remains stable here, breathing deeply beneath the surface. Nothing presses upward. Nothing demands attention. Even the warmth below feels quieter, more diffuse, like embers glowing steadily rather than flames reaching. You feel safe in this phase. The intensity has passed. The movement is complete. What remains is a sense of being held by something vast and patient. Your breathing syncs naturally with this rhythm now. Inhale. Long pause. Exhale. Calderas, these wide resting places, do not signify loss. They signify accommodation. The earth made room, released what it held, and now rests comfortably within its new shape. That shape will remain for a very long time, becoming familiar, even welcoming. As stillness continues, subtle changes begin to whisper at the edges of awareness. Not movement yet. Not growth. Just possibility. The kind of possibility that feels like soil warming quietly under sunlight. The earth breathes again, slow and deep, and you sense that this quiet will not last forever, though it will last long enough to feel complete. In time, something will respond to this calm. Something will take advantage of the space left behind. For now, you rest here, inside the stillness after release, breathing with the planet as it settles fully into comfort. And as awareness drifts gently forward, you begin to sense that life, patient and observant, is already preparing to move softly into these quiet spaces next. You remain within the calm left behind by stillness, and something gentle begins to stir. Not movement yet. Not growth in any obvious way. Just a readiness, like the first moment you realize morning will come without you needing to call it. Life responds this way. It does not rush into the open spaces the earth has made. It approaches slowly, respectfully, as if waiting to be invited. The ground cools, settles, and becomes receptive. Moisture lingers. Light touches the surface and stays a while. You breathe in, and the air feels softer. You breathe out, and the world remains patient. This is how life adapts to the planet's long rhythm. Plants do not see supervolcanoes as events. They see landscapes. They feel soil, warmth, water, and light. When these elements align gently, roots begin to explore. Not aggressively. Not urgently. Just enough to see what is possible. Tiny seeds rest for a long time before doing anything at all. They wait for conditions to feel right. The earth understands this kind of waiting. It practices it constantly. You notice how familiar this feels. You do not move until you are ready either. Slowly, quietly, green returns. At first it is barely noticeable. A soft tint against stone. A hint of texture where there was once smooth ash. Life begins with whispers, not announcements. Water gathers in low places. Rain finds the hollows left behind and decides to stay. Pools become lakes without trying to be impressive. They simply occupy space calmly, reflecting light, holding warmth during the day and releasing it at night. The planet breathes, and life breathes with it. Inhale. Exhale. Soil forms through patience. Rock breaks down not through force, but through time. Minute changes add up, grain by grain, until something soft enough to support roots appears. There is no single moment when soil arrives. It emerges gradually, the way comfort does. You may feel comfort spreading now too, through your body, through your thoughts. Everything feels less sharp, more rounded. Life does not hurry because it knows the planet will not either. There is a deep trust here, an understanding built over countless cycles. When space opens, life responds. When warmth lingers, life settles in. When conditions shift, life adjusts without protest. Animals arrive later, following the quiet signals of abundance. Insects first, then birds, then others, each step taken only when the previous one feels stable. No one leaps ahead. No one pushes. There is something gently humorous in this cooperation. Even ecosystems seem to understand the value of taking turns. Everyone waits for the right moment. No one argues with the rhythm. You smile again, softly. The breathing metaphor expands here. The earth inhales warmth and exhales space. Life inhales opportunity and exhales growth. Both move together, not perfectly synchronized, but close enough to feel harmonious. You feel this harmony in your own breathing now. Each inhale arrives when it is needed. Each exhale releases without effort. Nothing is forced. Supervolcanoes, once seen as disruptions, become part of this long story of adaptation. Their cycles reshape landscapes, yes, but those landscapes become homes, resources, and quiet foundations for life that follows. Nothing is wasted. Everything is reused. The planet does not apologize for change. Life does not resent it. They understand each other too well for that. You sense how deeply reassuring this is. That even large changes resolve into balance over time. That disruption gives way to adaptation. That patience always has the final word. The rhythm continues. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. As ecosystems mature, they settle into their own cycles. Growth and rest. Expansion and pause. Everything mirrors the planet's breathing in its own way. Trees sway gently, responding to air. Water levels rise and fall. Seasons drift through without urgency. Nothing hurries the process. There is no finish line. You may notice how safe this feels compared to stories of sudden change. Here, everything arrives gradually, with time to adjust, time to rest, time to become familiar. Humans, when they arrive in these landscapes, are often surprised by how calm they feel. Wide calderas feel open rather than empty. Lakes feel inviting. Soil feels rich, warm, supportive. The earth does not carry tension forward. It releases it fully. You rest in this understanding. Life adapting to the long rhythm means accepting that change is rarely immediate and rarely permanent. Everything moves, but nothing rushes. Everything breathes, but nothing gasps. Your breathing remains slow, steady, almost unnoticed now. Inhale. Exhale. As life continues settling, curiosity naturally shifts. How do humans learn to notice these rhythms without fear? How do observers become listeners, respecting the pace of the planet instead of trying to control it? The question forms gently, without pressure. You do not answer it yet. For now, you remain with life as it unfolds quietly, adapting without effort, trusting the Earth's breath. The planet remains patient beneath it all, breathing steadily, supporting every root, every drop of water, every slow return of green. And as awareness begins to widen again, drifting toward human observation and understanding, you carry this calm with you, ready to explore how listening replaces fear, how watching becomes caring, how attention itself learns to breathe along with the living planet, already guiding you softly into what comes next. You arrive at a place where understanding feels spacious rather than sharp. Nothing tightens when you learn. Nothing speeds up. Knowledge, here, settles like a blanket instead of pressing like a weight. Your breath remains slow. Inhale. Exhale. This is how listening without fear begins. For a long time, humans learned about the planet by watching for sudden changes, dramatic moments, obvious signs. But slowly, gently, that approach softened. Watching turned into listening. Attention turned into care. Science became less about prediction and more about presence. You feel that shift now. Listening does not mean expecting something to happen. It means noticing what is already happening, without judgment, without urgency. The Earth continues breathing whether anyone pays attention or not. Observation does not provoke it. Awareness does not disturb it. This realization feels comforting. Scientists place instruments the way you might place a hand near someone sleeping. Carefully. Respectfully. They do not poke. They do not interrupt. They wait for the quiet information that arrives naturally when patience is practiced. Tiny movements travel through stone. Gentle warmth drifts. Subtle chemical traces rise and fall. None of these are warnings. They are signatures of life continuing at its chosen pace. You inhale, feeling how air fills your chest without effort. You exhale, trusting the next breath to come on its own. Listening without fear means letting patterns reveal themselves slowly. It means understanding that not every change is a signal, and not every signal is a problem. Most of what the Earth communicates is reassurance. Steady. Balanced. Alive. You may notice how different this feels from alarm. Fear compresses attention. Listening expands it. Fear demands immediate answers. Listening allows time to do its work. The planet prefers listeners. There is something quietly humorous about how calm this all is. Humans sometimes expect dramatic revelations, but the Earth offers mostly consistency. Its message, repeated endlessly, is something like, I am still here. I am still breathing. You smile softly at the thought. Monitoring becomes an act of companionship rather than surveillance. Instruments do not watch for disaster. They keep company with slow processes. They track breathing, not countdowns. And because the Earth's cycles are so long, there is room for gentleness. Changes unfold gradually enough to be noticed early, understood calmly, and contextualized within rhythms that have repeated many times before. Nothing sneaks up. Nothing jumps out. Listening teaches trust. You feel trust growing now, not as belief, but as bodily ease. Shoulders remain relaxed. Jaw unclenches. Breath deepens. Understanding settles into your body, not just your thoughts. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Fear often comes from feeling separate, from imagining the planet as something unpredictable and distant. Listening dissolves that separation. You are part of the same system. You breathe air shaped by the earth. You rest on ground shaped by its cycles. The planet is not other. It is context. When you see the earth this way, attention becomes softer. Care replaces control. Curiosity replaces worry. The need to rush disappears. Supervolcanoes, within this understanding, are no longer looming possibilities. They are components of a living system that has been breathing steadily for far longer than any fear has existed. They are watched, not because they are dangerous, but because they are interesting. And interest, here, is calm. You notice how safe it feels to know that listening is continuous. That awareness does not turn on only in moments of concern. It remains present through quiet phases, through stillness, through long stretches where nothing much changes at all. Most of the time, the Earth's breathing is uneventful. And that is good news. Your breath mirrors this steadiness now. Even. Unforced. Familiar. Inhale. Exhale. Listening without fear also means accepting scale. Time stretches wide enough that individual moments lose their sharp edges. A single change becomes part of a much larger pattern. Perspective smooths everything. When understanding arrives this way, it does not keep you awake. It allows you to rest. The Earth does not need constant attention to function safely. It has been managing its rhythms long before instruments existed. Observation simply adds companionship, not control. You feel a quiet gratitude for this. For a planet that does not require vigilance to remain balanced. For systems that know how to care for themselves slowly. As awareness continues to widen, you begin to feel less like an observer and more like a participant. Your breathing is part of the same rhythm. Your rest echoes the planet's rest. The distinction between listening and being held starts to blur. You inhale, feeling supported by ground and air alike. You exhale, letting that support remain. Listening without fear opens space inside you. Space where nothing needs immediate response. Space where curiosity can exist without tension. Space where rest feels appropriate, even informed. The Earth continues breathing below, steady and unbothered. Instruments listen. Scientists wait. Life adapts. Nothing strains. As this understanding settles fully, awareness begins to turn inward again, gently folding back toward the present moment. Toward your body resting. Toward your breath moving easily. Toward the simple fact of being held by a living planet. The perspective widens, then softens. You are no longer listening outward alone. You are listening inward too. And in that shared quiet, where fear has nowhere to settle, you drift gently toward a deeper rest, ready to return fully to the feeling of being inside the Earth's steady breath, already easing into the final calm that waits just ahead. You arrive here at last, in the calm center of all that has unfolded. Your body rests, supported fully by the ground beneath. There is warmth in your feet, steady and quiet, as if the earth itself is holding you. The rhythm of your breath has slowed naturally. Each inhale arrives gently. Each exhale releases fully, soft and unhurried. You notice how small movements in your body echo the planet's own gentle pulses. A shift in your shoulders, a lengthening of your spine, a subtle relaxation of the jaw, each of these mirrors the Earth's quiet adjustments. You are connected, not because you must be, but because you are already part of the same system. The planet has been breathing long before you, and your breath joins that rhythm seamlessly now. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. The vastness beneath you, the crust, the mantle, the chambers of slowly moving magma, is no longer abstract. You do not see it directly, but you sense it through the steady, reliable rhythm that has guided every chapter of this journey. The supervolcanoes, once imagined as enormous and powerful, now rest as distant participants in the Earth's patient cycles. They are not threats. They are expressions of a world that knows how to move slowly, carefully, without rushing. Your attention drifts downward, as if sinking through layers of stone, warmth, and quiet. You feel the mantle beneath, alive with gentle currents, moving without urgency, rising and settling in harmony. You notice how each movement feels like a whisper, soft, persistent, calm. The planet's breath is ongoing, independent of observation, and your own breath now harmonizes with it effortlessly. Inhale. Exhale. There is reassurance and understanding that the Earth moves on its own terms. It does not need you to supervise. It does not hurry. You are free to rest. You are free to let curiosity drift without tension. You are free to notice and to be without expectation. Every rhythm here is deliberate, measured in patience, and sustained without stress. The supervolcanoes have long cycles, and yet they are nothing more than part of the broader, breathing whole. Your awareness softens further. You notice tiny signals in the world around you, the way light tilts softly across the landscape, the gentle hum of distant air currents, the faint warmth of the ground beneath. These sensations are reminders that the planet continues to exist fully, quietly, constantly, whether anyone observes or not. There is trust embedded in this knowledge, a deep, bodily trust that brings calm. Inhale. Exhale. Even the calderas, those wide resting hollows left by long-released energy, no longer feel stark or alien. They are gentle depressions in the landscape, places where rest has been imprinted physically upon the Earth. Water gathers slowly in these basins, reflecting soft sunlight, forming quiet pools that echo the stillness. Life will continue to adjust to these spaces in its own patient way, just as you have adjusted to the rhythms that have unfolded before you. You notice the connections now, the weaving of cycles that reach across time and scale. Your breath rises and falls in tandem with the planet. Life adapts. Observers learn to listen without fear. Supervolcanoes exhale and rest. Landscapes settle. And through it all, a steady, calm continuity remains, unbroken by hurry or expectation. Inhale. Exhale. This is the moment where presence deepens. You feel a warmth in your core, steady and unthreatened. You notice the small, tender awareness that every part of this system, the planet, life, and yourself, is engaged in a slow, repeating rhythm. Nothing is racing. Nothing demands urgency. You are part of the continuity, not separate from it. The Earth does not pause for you, yet your awareness and the planet's breath flow in harmony as though synchronized by gentle habit. Imagine, for a moment, the cycles of the supervolcanoes themselves. Magma gathers, pressures build slowly, chambers shift. And then, release arrives, not violent, not alarming, but as a calm exhale that reshapes the landscape softly, gradually. You are observing this from the comfort of distance, knowing you are safe. Every inhalation and exhalation of the planet mirrors a deep, patient relaxation that you can feel inside yourself. Your body absorbs the reassurance. You notice your chest expanding gently as you inhale. You feel it contract evenly as you exhale. There is no tension. There is no strain. Only presence. Only harmony. Only steady, rhythmic life. You notice a gentle smile forming within, subtle and almost imperceptible, as the planet's rhythm carries a quiet humor. The Earth has been patient for millennia, moving in ways too slow for fear to matter, too persistent for urgency to exist. It continues its cycles without notice, yet with perfect regularity. You are safe within that patience. You are part of that ongoing process, even as you rest quietly here, anchored by awareness. Inhale. Exhale. You begin to feel the scope of time differently. Long stretches, once abstract, now appear as gentle curves. Past events, releases, calm periods all fold into the same breathing cadence. The supervolcanoes, life, calderas, and even your own body exist along the same continuum. There is an expansive, unhurried rhythm that carries everything forward without tension, without strain. As you rest deeper into this understanding, your awareness drifts through layers of sensation, the soft hum of distant air currents, the gentle warmth beneath your feet, the pale shifting light above. All of these are subtle reminders that you are held by a living system. The Earth, in all its depth and breadth, continues to breathe, continues to support, continues to be. And you, in turn, continue to exist with it, carried by its long, calm inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. The final breath cues arrive naturally, slowly, easily. They mark the transition into stillness, not finality. There is no rush to leave this state, no urgency to move elsewhere. The planet's breathing continues indefinitely, and you are carried effortlessly along, anchored in presence and deep and calm. You are left suspended in this space, fully resting inside the living planet. Your breath rises and falls with the rhythm of Earth itself. Supervolcanoes cycle quietly below. Life continues to adapt patiently. Monitoring persists gently, without alarm. Landscapes remain soft and receptive. And as your body and awareness merge with the calm, steady pulse beneath, you drift into a state of complete reassurance, aligned with the planet's infinite patience, already open to whatever gentle rhythms follow next. Inhale. Exhale. You rest here. Inside. Safe. Cradled by the living, breathing Earth. And as the final exhale of this journey dissolves into calm, your awareness begins to drift softly, like a breath carried on a warm, patient wind, leaving space for nothing but the gentle continuity of the planet's steady, eternal rhythm.